Welcome to CBM Calling. I am so glad that you are with us this afternoon. My name is Terry Smith. I am the Executive Director of Canadian Baptist Ministries, and I am delighted to have three of my colleagues with me. Three colleagues whose office on a normal day is probably 20 feet away from my office. But I haven't seen your three cheerful faces live in several months now. I miss you all. I miss not having to pop into your office and chat with you and hear what's going on. But I am grateful that we can have this conversation today. Today, we are discussing with the program officers and the team lead for international partnerships. So my three guests are Julia Bowring, who is the team lead. Welcome, Julia. You've been with us before, and I'm glad to see you once again with us. We also have Patricia. Patricia is our program officer for Latin America and part of our work in Africa. Patricia lives in Mississauga, but she's actually from El Salvador, and that enables you to be a very effective communicator with our partners in Latin America. And I'm also really glad to welcome for our very first time my brother Eugene. Eugene lives in Scarborough. He comes from Cameroon, and Eugene is our program officer for most of Africa and for all of our work in Asia. So welcome to the three of you. It's great to be together. Today's conversation is really all about how we partner overseas, specifically around COVID-19. What is the impact of COVID-19 in our partners' fields, and how are we able to strengthen our partners in their resolve? The statistics are staggering in terms of the vulnerability of the poorest partners and their susceptibility to COVID-19. The risk of people being plunged back into abject poverty after years of improvement, especially in places like India. The threat is so great. So I'm really happy to be able to chat with the three of you. Let me ask you real quickly, first of all, first Patricia and then Julia and Eugene. How are you guys coping? Do you miss seeing me? I'm sure you do, Patricia, right?
Yes, I miss being in the office. I guess I'm just trying to adapt to what is going to be the new normal for us. Obviously, just trying to be in contact with my family back in El Salvador. So, yeah, using a lot of Zoom for that, just to be in touch with everyone.
Excellent.
Yeah, this is interesting for me because I've only been here for a couple months. So this is my experience of the office, but I'm really looking forward to when we can be together and meet in person. But doing okay, going for daily walks, enjoying the sunshine, and yeah, doing fine.
Julia, I know that you share a common interest me in going for walks, and another common interest I know you have is in gardening. So you told me that on the weekend you were able to get out and do a little gardening. So good on you. Yeah.
Yeah, very life-giving.
Excellent. How about you, Eugene? How are you and your family coping?
Oh, we are doing well, Terry. And you just made mention of gardening, which is actually what I like doing.
Oh, good.
I did my gardening a couple of days ago, so I'm done with that for now. But generally, Terry, yeah, I miss those moments with you in the office, the laughter. But this is going to be a new normal for some time. And I think so far, so good.
Excellent. Now, before we get into our topic, I want to recognize a couple of friends who are with us and viewing CBM Calling today. Yesterday, we discovered that a woman named Nancy in Ottawa was watching CBM Calling. I think it was the first time Nancy watched it. So Nancy, if you're listening to CBM Calling today, I just want to say hi to you. Thank you for your interest. My colleague and friend Laura Lee Buston has been faithful in keeping track of us through CBM Calling, and Laura Lee and Daryl are in New Brunswick, and we're wishing them well. I also say hi to another friend in New Brunswick, Lisa Lones. We're glad that Lisa's with us as well today. So first question for you, Julia, if I can. As I said, we're talking about how we work with our partners around COVID-19. And can you describe the nature of our work with our partners, Julia?
Sure. So at CBM, we work by invitation. So it's really rare that we would go somewhere, just do our own thing. Instead, we build relationships with partners around the world where there's a sense of alignment with our vision and mission and our understanding of what it means to share the gospel in both word and deed. So we build relationships with our partners around the world. And then we come alongside them and we support and we invest in capacity building and the hope is that through these relationships, as we work together, both of us will grow and become stronger as organizations. And so that's a little bit of how we partner. So we're in, I think, approximately 17 countries, 25 partners, and we have around 95 projects right now, not including our COVID relief. With our COVID relief projects, it pushes over 100. So that's a little picture.
So the way it works at CBM is, Julia, you and your team have oversight. You help monitor and evaluate our partners. You help prepare the proposals that they submit to us or to Canadian Food Grains Bank. And so the expertise that you and your team bring to the mix is absolutely huge. And we're so grateful for it. And through the work of our partners, people who live otherwise at risk or in great vulnerability are able to benefit from the generosity of our Canadian Baptist family. Patricia, can you tell me a little bit about some of the fields where our partners are working and what are some of the things that you're hearing?
Yeah, sure. In Central America, right now we're supporting partners in Guatemala and El Salvador, where the pandemic threatens to worsen poverty due to the strict lockdowns implemented by the government. In El Salvador, CBM supported our partner Aves with resources to buy food packages for vulnerable families. The main beneficiaries were elderly families that have lost their source of income and single mothers. They have also used their own limited resources to pay for transportation and logistics. But the capacity of the local church has been vital as mobilization due to government restrictions is getting more limited. They were so quick to come up with a plan and to coordinate the distribution of food in a safe way to a total of 125 families. And well, now we are hoping to send funds soon to Cuba, and that as a result of the pandemic, this country's main source of income, the tourism, has stopped. Same as in El Salvador, the restrictions of mobility have impacted many self-employed and day labor workers. With this contribution, we hope to support our partner feedback so that they can deliver food and hygiene products to over 100 vulnerable families.
Patricia, I've been reading reports in BBC and the New York Times and here in Canada about the incredible, about how quickly COVID-19 is spreading in Latin America right now. And I think that, for example, Brazil has become probably one of the hot spots and a place we need to be in prayer for. So I'm grateful for the work of our Latin American partners. And I'm really glad to hear your report. Thank you for kind of staying on top of those reports. I know that the people there are really, really vulnerable. Eugene, you oversee our partners in a few other fields, and I know that you've had a chance to be in contact with our partners in many different countries. Could you give us a couple of examples of the work that our partners are doing from your field?
Yeah, Terry, thank you. I want to start with the Philippines, and our partner in the Philippines is KPM. Usually we call Kabuganan Philippines Ministries, which is a community development organization, and it works in partnership with and in support of the ministries of, all the Capiz Zone Baptist churches, and they provide various community development, leadership development, early childhood education, livelihood initiatives, as well as needed relief and rehabilitation projects. So when there was the lockdown, first of all, they are in Capiz province, and there was one case, and because of that case, there was severe lockdown and movement was restricted. and they started an initiative of assisting major frontline workers who work at the hospital, doctors, nurses, personal support workers. And so we helped them in that initiative to support 90 of them. Because of the lockdown, they were not allowed to go back home to their families. So we supported them in providing at least 2 meals per day for a period of a month, and it was very well appreciated. And on another note, we had a project that was supposed to take place, Terry, because of this lockdown, which is called an interfaith youth leadership gathering that brings together Muslims and Christians. It's a kind of peace building initiative in the Philippines. That gathering could not take place because of the restrictions. So we diverted the funds to actually help some of the Muslim faith community leaders and some of the pastors who live in very remote areas whose sources of income and livelihood was seriously perturbed by or disturbed by the COVID-19. So in India, we have a partner called Alampang Baptist Church up in the northeastern part of India, a bit in a remote area. The partner initiated support. They actually were helping some of their beneficiaries with personal, protective equipment and some food items, and so we came along to support them in that initiative, as well as helping some of the beneficiaries who were already before the COVID-19 living under the below poverty line, in giving some food assistance and some needed relief.
It's incredible the diversity of response that our partners have been able to implement. I know that you've just been able to touch on a couple of examples, but whether it's been food distribution in China or accommodation to healthcare workers in Lebanon, or PPEs to families and healthcare workers, and training. It's all been such an important expression of our Christian solidarity. I'm going to ask you a question, Julia, but before I do that, I also want to recognize a couple of other people who are following us today. We're always glad to have a couple of our own staff who are paying attention during their day. Barb Keys is with us and appreciates how timely this episode of CBM Calling is right now. And Randy Stanton, Susanna Nacho in Costa Rica. I want to say hi to my friend Nancy Webb, who's following us, and John, your boss, by the way. John Chan is appreciating your summary. We also have a fellow in Pakistan named Samar John, who says hello and sends blessings to each of you. So I want to thank all of the people that are following us. Julia, so as you say, we work by invitation. We work through partners. The partners are really the people that are implementing the transformational mission on the ground. But how is it that you and your team are able to be assured that our partners are able to respond appropriately within their own context?
Sure. Well, on one level, because we're in relationship with our partners, some of our relationships go back for a long, long time. There is some trust and a level of just trust and understanding of our partner's vision and mission on one hand. And then on the other hand, very practically, many of our partners have already started relief initiatives, and they started before, before with their own resources. And our partners largely work through local church networks, and so they've been situated really well to help local authorities in this crisis identify who the most vulnerable are. And again, our churches are already in relationship, many of the churches of our partners, in relationship with people in their communities. So, so there has been capacity to respond really well. But then the other side of it is that our team and CBM also invests heavily in capacity building with our partners. So we've got this wonderful team of program officers, Patricia and Eugene, and then we have fabulous field staff as well who live within the context and are able to come alongside our partners And so through capacity building and building relationship with one another, we can be confident that our partners are responding well, and that this has been a good partnership in the midst of this crisis.
Mm. No, I think that one of the lessons that I learned, actually, Patricia, when I was in El Salvador, is years ago, was the importance of mutuality in partnership. Our El Salvadorian brothers and sisters often refer to mutuality in partnership. One of the things that I've appreciated as I've watched the three of you work along with your other colleagues and the field staff is that not only are we helping our partners, but the transformation also happens within our own lives, doesn't it? We're impacted as we receive the blessing of relationships from them. We learn about God's work in a global world. We learn about, and we're able to share with our churches across Canada the important lessons of partnership. So I am just so grateful for the attention and the diligence that you all apply. Careful stewardship is a really important value at CBM. And I think that the work that you do in dealing with the project proposals and monitoring the financing and hearing the stories is an important part of our stewardship. So I wanted to just say a word of thanks to Julia and Patricia and Eugene for the excellent work that you do. And I know it's disruptive to have to work from your house, and we don't get to see each other in the office, but it means so much to know that you're paying attention to the way our partners are implementing good programming on the ground through word and deed. So thank you everyone for joining us on CBM Calling today. It's always a pleasure to be able to interact with you and to know that you're following us, and we appreciate and we covet your prayers and your support during this time. I hope that you're able to follow us tomorrow afternoon on CBM Calling. My colleague Adrian Gardner is going to be interviewing two very dear friends of mine, Dennis Shearman, our Western Canadian rep, and Axel Schoberg, who is the pastor of West Vancouver Baptist Church. And they're going to be talking about the implication of COVID-19 on church life in Western Canada. So I invite you to follow tomorrow on CBM Calling. Thank you once again, and God bless the three of you in your ongoing work. God bless.